Hi, welcome to our Critique assignment. My name is Megan. I'm joined by Natalie, Ashley, and Clarona to talk about Google Classroom as an online learning platform that we're going to critique today. I just wanted to walk through the key features of Google Classroom by sharing my screen here. And as you can see, we're kind of in the Google Classroom folder here. You would have all of your classes lined up here, but we have created one right here, which we will go into. But if you wanted to create your own class, you could go here to this kind of plus symbol icon, and you click on it, and there's the options of joining a class or creating a class. And if you create a class, you can generate a class name, section, subject, and room, which is just the kind of the key important details that will identify your class for students and potentially co-teachers. But we'll go into our classroom here. So we have our kind of home page here called Stream, and this is where you can see our class name in big bold font that is accessible for all users. Right underneath that, you can see where we have a little engine here where as a teacher you can announce something to your class. So you can click on that, you can announce something, you can choose if it's for all students or just some students. You can link any documents, your Google Drive, YouTube, upload a file from your own computer or share a link, and then you can post or schedule a post. Also right here, whatever you post, you can potentially reuse it with this symbol here if that's what you'd like to do. But also on the side, I'd like to highlight these kind of main features that are important for students and accessible. A Google Meet link if you're going online virtual class, a class code that is accessible for all students just in case they forget. And then here is kind of like the calendar feature highlighted on the main page, which just kind of has upcoming events and due dates. So students can see it right on their homepage. They don't necessarily have to search the whole site for it. And if we go over here under the announcements, you can see that it says Stream Settings. And this is an important feature for teachers. You have your class details at the top, but then you have a section called General, and here you can kind of organize a few different things like invite codes. You can manage Google links, displaying the class code on the front. Again, the invite link is there that you can generate. Over here under Stream, you can choose if you want students to post and comment, if you only want them to comment, or if you only want teachers to post and comment. So you can really kind of enable certain features that allow engagement from students. And then we have classwork on the stream. So here you can pick from some options. So show attachments and details, show condensed notifications, or hide notifications. You can choose to show deleted items by enabling or disabling this feature. You can again manage your Google Meet link. And then we have a section for grading. So here you can kind of edit your grading settings so you can have a grade calculation. Choose an overall grade calculation so you can either have no overall grade, total points, or weighted by a category. In this case, you can also enable or disable the feature to show overall grades to all of your students. And then over here, there's grade categories. So you can add a grade category and you can edit the default points. So you can actually change that if it's out of 100 or not, and then edit that category there. So that's that feature. That's under Stream Settings. So we're going to go back here. We didn't change anything, so we're discarding. Okay, perfect. So we're going to go over here actually to the left-hand side over here at the top, just to look at our main menu for some other key features. So under these key features here, we have calendar, which holds some significance. As a teacher, the calendar here really adds an accessibility feature for your students so that you can highlight key dates and events for students when assignments are due. And you can choose if it's for all classes or your specific class, in our case, Learning Online with Google Classroom. If you choose all classes as a feature, you might be able to highlight some key events that are not just happening in the classroom, the specific class you have, but to all of your students, depending on the grade level of potentially events happening within the school that might hold some significance or importance to them, just in case you have students that struggle with those organizational issues and may need a little extra help. So we're just going to kind of go back to the main menu and go here. And I'm going to highlight another key feature here. If we go to classwork, this is where we can create assignments or material for students. You can see at the top that Google Calendar or a shared Google Class Drive folder is here to link, but you can go over here to this create button and you have options between assignment, quiz assignment, question, material, to reuse a post or to create a new topic. In my placement, for example, new topics would be used for a new unit. So we would create a new topic per unit and then all of our assignments would go underneath that topic. But just for an example, I'll show what it looks like to create an assignment. So you can title your assignment, you can leave your instructions here, and then over here you can actually attach anything from a Google Drive. You can provide students with a YouTube video. You can create featuring some Google applications like Docs, Slides, Sheets, Drawings, Forms, and you can create that for students. You can choose to upload from your personal files on your computer or share a link that is important to them. If we do go to create, for example, a doc, it's going to take me over here. It's going to create a new Google Doc, but we're going to close that. And over here, there are some settings for this kind of application where you can actually choose if students can view the file, if they can edit the file, or if they can actually make a copy. So if you make a copy for each student, you can kind of observe the work that students are contributing to their assignment in real time, because you can go into each document and just see what they are up to. Also over here, I just want to highlight where we have, when we're about to publish the assignment, who it's for. We can choose again if it's for our class or other classes, all students or just some of students, the points, or if it's ungraded. No due date, but we can change that. We can choose a due date and a time. If there's a topic we want to assign to it, like I said, if you're doing a new unit, you can attach a rubric. And you can also, another key feature right here is checking for plagiarism or originality. You can click that when students are submitting assignments and it'll automatically check for originality on each assignment that is submitted. Now, if we go up here and we're ready to assign our assignment, over here, we have the option to assign right away where students can see it right after it's published. We can choose to schedule a time in which our students see it, save it as a draft so we can work on it later, or we can discard the draft overall. So in this case, I'm going to discard it because I'm not really assigning anything right now, but I really just wanted to highlight those key features, and we'll move forward to Natalie's points about the affordances and constraints. Thank you so much.
Take a couple of moments to go over the affordances of Google Classroom. The first one is that Google Classroom provides participants with a user-friendly environment. So this ensures all users have easy access and can navigate themselves through the interface, tools, and resources. The second affordance is the task/assignment administration opportunities you can have with Google Classroom. So individuals managing the platform, for instance, an educator, has the ability to generate and distribute assignments directly from the platform. In addition, they have the ability to provide deadlines and feedback to students. And then students are able to generate, are granted the opportunity to submit their work, obtain their grades, and monitor their overall progress within Google Classroom. Another affordance is the smooth integration with other Google apps and services. So since Google Classroom is one of the many Google apps and services, it enables users such as students or teachers to effectively, seamlessly integrate the use of other apps such as Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Slides, or Google Calendar. This integration allows users to collaborate and share files and assignments in an effortless fashion. Another one of the affordances is the accessibility for communication and collaboration within the platform. So Google Classroom allows users to effectively communicate and collaborate with one another. Features such as announcements allow teachers to provide students with information throughout the day and beyond school hours. Students are able to message their teachers and ask questions whenever they have access to digital resources. In addition, users have the ability to share resources and comment on announcements and posts. And the last affordance that we look into was the accessibility of the platform. So this platform can be accessed on any device that has internet connection. Thus, users have access to information from various locations, such as their home, school, work, or any other location with internet. In addition, many schools within Ontario have access to Chromebooks, which have Google Classrooms already installed automatically into them. Now we're going to look over the constraints. So the first constraint we identified is that there are customization limits. So the interface and functionality of Google Classroom are mainly standardized. So teachers have limited options associated with customizing the format or layout of their virtual classroom. Google can work on, as a suggestion, Google can work on providing teachers more flexibility in customization of their virtual classroom, allowing them to create a more personalized virtual teaching environment appropriate to the culture of their classroom. And then also maybe they can work on establishing some templates or themes that generate and grant teachers the ability to choose layout designs and overall appearance of their virtual class. Another one of the constraints is the reliance on other Google apps and services. So once again, Google Classroom is created to have tight integrations with the other apps and services created by Google. Even though this can be seen as a benefit in a lot of ways, it also can constrain users by creating a reliance on the availability and functionality of the apps and services for optimal usage. A suggestion would be for Google to find ways to make connections with other educational tools or platforms such as Mentimeter, Microsoft Tools, or Kahoot. This will allow teachers to connect their other resources in a more seamless manner without having to switch platforms and create hyperlinks continuously. Another one of the constraints is the restricted storage and file space. Google Apps and services offer users restricted amounts of storage space per individual for free access. So uploading larger files or multimedia content onto Google Classroom can rapidly deplete storage capacities and then require users to frequently manage their storage and files to ensure adequate space availability when posting new content. So as a suggestion, Google can allow users to have a larger access to storage limits to ensure larger files and multimedia content can be incorporated into Google Classroom and other apps and services. And then in addition, features that remove unnecessary duplicate information or files can be embedded into the system to assist with managing storage issues. Another one of the constraints is data privacy and security. So similar to all other online platforms, data and security is something to acknowledge as a constraint. There is no built-in text or file/folder encryption. So in addition, Google also has policies in place associated with data collection and usage. Thus, users should take the necessary steps and precautions to ensure sensitive information is not shared within these platforms and within Google Classroom. Another one of the constraints is the compatibility. So there are limitations with specific browsers and devices. This may spark constraints based on the technology and resources users have available to access these services. Google should work on ensuring all browsers and devices have a universal ability to access and use their apps and services. And the last constraint is the restricted offline access. So Google Classroom is available for users when internet is accessible. Thus, the online access and connectivity are limited. Users must obtain an internet connection to be able to access and interact with the content on this platform. Google should work to find ways to ensure users have the ability to access information and continue to work on Google Classroom when internet connection is not accessible.
So what's the best demographic for Google Classroom? So Google Classroom is an online learning platform commonly used in education for instructional purposes. So findings indicate that Google Classroom is tailored towards students K to 12. But based on our experiences during our elementary and secondary placements, we think that Google Classroom is best suited for students in grades 6 to 12. So due to digital access, citizenship, competence, Google Classroom would be more appropriate for older students. So for younger grades, we think Google Classroom could be used more for parental use. Moving on to the e-learning principles. So the first three principles here, coherence, signaling, and spatial continuity, those relate to the instructional methods to reduce extraneous cognitive processing. So for the coherence principle, from our perspective, Google Classroom is very minimalistic. Each classroom is structured with 4 tabs: the homepage, the classwork, people, and grades. So in regards to the coherence principle, we do not think Google Classroom has any features that distract students' learning. Therefore, we believe that Google Classroom aligns with the coherence principle. So moving on to signaling. So in Google Classroom, an example of signaling can be seen in features such as bolding, underlining, or italicizing text. And there are no highlighting features on Google Classroom. However, you can use Chrome extensions that can be used to highlight text within Google Classroom. So for spatial continuity principle, on Google Classroom, if students or the teacher hover over icons, it works as an information button and it provides text to inform the user what that feature is. So although redundancy and temporal continuity principles do not apply to the structure of Google Classroom, what teachers post would. So when using this platform, teachers should be mindful of these additional e-learning principles. So there are 3 instructional methods for managing essential processing during learning, and these 3 are segmenting, pre-training, and modality. So in regards to the segmenting principle, Google Classroom does provide features through which instructors are able to chunk content, and this helps simplify the learning process. So for example, teachers are able to assign material to a specific topic in the classwork section, and this helps just organize the content for students. So looking at the pre-training principle, so pre-training is when students learn important terms and definitions before the lesson is taught. So with being able to upload material to Google Classroom, teachers can engage in this principle by just uploading the material in advance for their students. And the modality is based on the resources that teachers integrate into instruction, and it is the use of narration with graphics as opposed to on-screen text. And once again, modality would be dependent on the teacher's instruction.
So there are 3 instructional methods for managing essential processing during learning: personalization principle, the embodiment principle, and the voice principle. So for the personalization principle, Google Classroom allows teachers to personalize their classrooms by the use of images, fonts, or videos. And rather than formal forms of communication, such as email, Google Classroom allows students and teachers to communicate a bit more informally. For the embodiment principle, Google Classroom does not really account for the embodiment principle, where there are on-screen agents displaying human-like facial expressions. If teachers want this feature to enhance students' learning, they will have to include it in their teaching instruction. And lastly, the voice principle. So Google Classroom does not provide audio in which information is read aloud unless a Chrome extension is installed. So there are other learning theories, such as the community of inquiry model, that align with Google Classroom. So the community of inquiry model focuses on teaching presence, cognitive presence, and social presence. In terms of teaching presence, Google Classroom supports blended learning, which helps support the teaching instruction. In other words, it allows students to engage in online and classroom-based learning. There is the cognitive presence, so teachers can upload material to Google Classroom, making it accessible for students at all times. And Google Classroom, it makes content integration seamless. And lastly, social presence. So as previously mentioned, Google Classroom is a platform where students and teachers can communicate and interact with each other informally. So after assessing the features, constraints, affordances, connections to e-learning principles, and other models, we find that Google Classroom is an effective online platform to be utilized in our future practices, which will contribute to student success. Thanks for listening.